Hello!
Welcome to
I'm That Witch!
with Bridgette and Maddy.
Ooh, we are in a state of chaos right now.
Truly. We just got off recording another episode where we absolutely lost our minds. We went on a rant for so long that is most likely getting cut.
Like 10 to 15 minute political rant before we were like, oh, we're a history podcast, not a politics podcast.
Exactly. We were like, we have to pull back a little bit.
We have isolated this whole country and made ourselves targets of the state.
The NSA's listening right now.
Our personal FBI agents that monitor our phones are like, oh, God, you've just created so much paperwork for us.
So true.
Oh,
well,
God.
Miss Bridgette, what will we be talking about today? Let our listeners know.
Well, I am very excited because today we are merging so many worlds. We are merging witchcraft. We're merging history. We're merging movie magic, if you will, because today we are going to be talking about Moll Dyer, who was the inspiration for the 1999 film The Blair Witch Project.
Let's go!
So hyped.
Love that movie.
And me too. Oh my God. I went through a period of time where The Blair Witch Project was my special interest.
Yeah, same.
Did you know they had books that were like teen read type books? Like they were like teen fiction book type things called the Blair Witch Files. And they had them at my local library. Shout out to the Clark County Library in Springfield, Ohio. Lenski Children's Room. That's where I grew up. And they had a series of books called the Blair Witch Files that were written from the perspective of Heather, like the main character from the Blair Witch Project, her like cousin, who was doing all of this research into like the history of the Blair Witch and like what happened to his cousin Heather who disappeared in the woods. And it was very interesting. I wish I could go back and revisit those because they were so cool. And I forgot all about them until I was writing this episode.
So you're like, I actually am the self-acclaimed master and knowledge knower of the Blair Witch Project.
And
Moll Dyer.
I will say I did not get too much into like the whole like lore of Blair Witch Project in this.
We're going to focus on what inspired the Blair Witch Project.
Exactly.
Miss Moll Dyer.
But if any of you listening ever read the Blair Witch Files and you know what I'm talking about, like, oh my gosh, please like drop a comment or something because I need to know I didn't hallucinate this. Like, did I just dream that up as a child? I don't know. We'll see.
So my question is,
yes,
is the Blair Witch Project at all similar to the actual story of Moll Dyer, or is it so far removed from the original story?
Well, I would say that you can see the similarities. I can see the similarities, but there definitely are some very key differences. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump into the story. Yeah. I'm going to let you make a little bit of your own determination.
Okay.
So,
mind you, I haven't watched this movie probably in like 10, 15 years.
It's okay, because I'm going to do a little like recap of like what they say that the Blair Witch thing is.
Perfect. So, thank God.
So, for those of you who have seen the Blair Witch Project or may not have seen the Blair Witch Project, if you've seen it, you may recall the lore that the townspeople tell these three fictional documentarians involves a woman named Ellie Kedward, who was accused of witchcraft and was sentenced to death via exposure. Essentially, she was, found guilty of witchcraft. She was bound in the woods in the middle of winter and left for dead. And after Ellie Kedward's death, it's believed that the woods surrounding the town were haunted and that the townsfolk were cursed as a result. So while Ellie Kedward was a fictional woman, her story was, I'm going to say, loosely based off of the woman we'll be talking about today, Moll Dyer. Moll Dyer was reportedly originally from Ireland and was actually named Mary. So Moll was a nickname given to her later in life, and that wasn't a super uncommon nickname to be given to women with names like Mary or even Margaret, like if they started with an M, which I think is interesting. I didn't know that. And I think a lot of people assume that Moll Dyer was a fictional figure, because there aren't necessarily records of specifically Moll Dyer. But Mary Dyer is confirmed to have lived in this area where Moll Dyer's legend comes from. So she was very much a real person. Historical documentation shows that Moll and her 2 brothers were first brought to the colonies from Ireland as indentured servants, and likely came through the Caribbean islands before making their way up to St. Mary's County, Maryland, in what is today known as Leonardtown. So as indentured servants, they would have signed contracts agreeing to work in some capacity either as field hands or household servants for a predetermined number of years in exchange for shelter, food, and transport to the colonies. And then once their contract had been served, they would be considered independent citizens there and could move on to whatever endeavor they wished, be that a different job, farming, owning their own property, etc. While we have no real record of how old Moll was when she came to Maryland, many sources describe her, once she had settled in Leonardtown, as an older woman and also as a spinster, meaning she likely would have been unmarried and childless. Now, I will say, spinster can carry a lot of meanings. Was she 70? Was she 25? Without babies? We don't know.
I love the name of spinster.
I know, because I think about it.
I think we should bring that back.
Honestly, like, I hear spinster and they're like, oh, she was an older unmarried woman with no children, and my brain goes to like old lady, and then I'm like, no, like in their terms, I am a spinster. I am 30 years old, childless, and unmarried. I'm a spinster.
By historical standards,
yeah,
we are spinsters at our old age of late 20s and 30.
Exactly. We are doomed to live a meaningless life with no love of children. I don't know. That's what matters. Anyway. Ooh, sorry, not to get on another rant. Here we go. Anyway, so with her being an older, unmarried, childless woman, this, of course, made her something of a target in the religious community that she lived in, and it wasn't long before Moll started becoming the scapegoat for all of the troubles occurring in the town.
So this woman was getting in trouble because she hadn't had kids.
Yes.
Basically.
Correct.
But she's a maid, working hard.
Well, at this time she
when
no
she got
longer
time
was.
To pop out babies.
That is true. That is true.
Scrubbing floors. What do? Strap the baby on your back and just let him hang?
That is true. Although at this time she was no longer an indentured servant.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So she's retired.
She had.
She's a retiree.
She had served her time as an indentured servant and then settled in her own like home in Leonardtown.
That's sick.
Yeah. So, but we don't know how old she was when she came over to the colonies.
Yeah.
We don't know like how long she had to be an indentured servant. Like she might have just never had the opportunity. So basically by this time it was the late 1690s. Though we don't have a confirmed year, as many town records would later be destroyed in a fire in 1831. But that has played a part in Moll's story becoming larger than life, given that it's mostly been passed down in the oral tradition. So it's kind of almost become like a game of telephone where, the story of Moll Dyer just gets bigger and bigger and bigger every year, which I think also plays into kind of how it plays into the inspiration for the Blair Witch Project being kind of about local legends.
Gotcha.
So what we do know is during this time, Leonardtown was really struggling. They had been having prolonged crop failure and a wicked winter storm that had set in, causing extremely low temperatures, the loss of even more crops, and the loss of a significant amount of livestock. On top of this, people in town began to take ill, like kind of en masse, likely with some strain of influenza, historians believe. So with the tragedies and the difficulties compounding, the people of Leonardtown became desperate for someone to blame, believing that if they could rid themselves of whatever witchcraft they'd fallen prey to, they would be able to rid themselves of the trouble. Under these conditions, all eyes turned to Moll. Moll lived in a cabin at the edge of the woods, and in the middle,
Moll.
I know, poor Moll. She's just out here living in her cabin, trying to like live her life. And
look at her golden years, and y'all come and bother her.
I know, it's so sad. But So she lived in this cabin at the edge of the woods, and in the middle of the night, the townsfolk stormed Moll's humble living quarters and set it on fire as she slept in her bed.
Ah!
The commotion woke Moll, and she was able to escape the inferno just barely, with nothing but the clothes on her back. She fled, terrified, into the woods. Satisfied that the job was done, the townspeople didn't seem to think much of it after that until a few days later, when Moll's body was found in the woods. She was frozen to death, kneeling on a rock with one hand holding herself steady on the rock and the other reaching upward to the sky. Many of the townspeople took this to be a sign that she had placed a curse on the town. Sure, why not? Okay. And continued to blame what they thought was her last act of witchcraft for future difficulties they faced, because she can't even rest in death. Like, come on, man. Still the subject of everybody's blame, and she's literally dead. Despite the fact that there were many witch trials happening in Maryland and other New England colonies at the time, Moll was never given a trial, only an execution. The legend that came with the discovery of Moll's body is that the indentation of her knees and hand could still be seen in the rock where her, after her body was moved. Many years later, in the 1960s, the rock was discovered by a journalist who was talking to locals about the legend, and it has had a couple different homes in the town before finally being brought to the St. Mary's County Historical Society, where you can still go to see it today, and you can still apparently see the indents of her knees and her hand.
Whoa!
Despite Leonardtown's previous scorn, in 2021, the mayor of Leonardtown declared February 26th to be Moll Dyer Day. It has now turned into Moll Dyer Weekend, in which the town celebrates Moll and other local legends and folklore. And, as a little treat for us, I have here an itinerary from this year's Moll Dyer Weekend 2024, so we can get a sample of what the festivities look like.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to hear it if I can figure out how to open it. Okay, there we go. It's you. So, Moll Dyer Day was celebrated this year, February 23rd through the 25th of 2024.
Okay.
And so here is the schedule of activities. So, all weekend, they have it separated all weekend, Friday and Saturday. So, all weekend, they were having a cocktail contest at several different bars, apparently. A local legend scavenger hunt.
Okay.
Leonardtown Main Street Instagram photo contest. Selfie with a local legend. Visit the Old Jail Museum and Leonardtown Visitor Center for free tours at the unique and historical landmark. The Salted Scoop is offering Moll Dyer Rock Sundae. Choose your favorite ice cream flavor, add toppings, and chocolate-covered rocks.
So what time does everyone get together and commit arson?
Right? Oh, is there a bonfire?
Will there be a bonfire?
Oh my god. I haven't read all the way through this, so I'm just waiting to see it. Let's find out.
Oh my god, if they do have a bonfire now, I feel bad.
I know. Suddenly, anyone listening in Leonardtown is like, how dare you badmouth us? So on Friday, February 23rd, the Good Earth Natural Store had a free packet of mulling spices with the purchase of a bottle of red wine in honor of Chef Loick's legendary mulled wine. Quality Street Kitchen and Catering had stuffed ham egg rolls and stuffed ham salad. You can catch the free trolley running through Leonardtown. And there was a potentially, I think this might be a movie. The Rex had Elaine Knew the Man Who Knows.
What do these have to do with Moll Dyer?
I don't know. Saturday.
Man, they really should have put some more respect on her name.
I know. So it kind of turned into a thing about more local legends too. But so here we have some on Saturday that's a little more, I guess, Moll themed. The Tobacco Barn Distillery at Social Coffee House is offering a Moll Dyer coffee. So, Ye Old Town Cafe, Moll Dyer Children's Activity. Was Moll Dyer a good witch or a bad witch? Join us in storytelling, discussions, and activities. It kind of sounds like she was just living her life and not even a witch, but okay.
True.
Maria Nash Tarot Card Readings. Fenwick Street Used Books had tarot card readings. And also a pottery artist, Rachel Platt, would be sharing her new work. Um, discovered the art of yarn spinning at New View Fiber Works. There was more free mulling spices with the purchase of wine. Uh, at Town Market, Chessie, the Chesapeake Bay Monster craft
Absolutely
activity.
not.
um, Fran Wild, an award-winning author, poet, essayist, and illustrator, was doing a meet and greet. They had the Winter Games at Brudergarten. A paranormal investigation throughout Leonard Town.
See, that I like.
And they had that at 2 different times. So those were some of the activities, apparently, that they celebrate for Moll Dyer Day / Moll Dyer weekend. It seems like a lot of them probably don't have much to do specifically with Moll Dyer, and I think that, I don't want to put words in the mouth of this town, but it kind of seems like maybe they um, were just kind of like, well, let's like have this day to honor her, and then turned it into like kind of like a weekend of winter festivities, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I get it.
True, but like what you said before about like, was she even a witch? They never had gathered any quote evidence to say that she had really put any kind of curse on the town that had brought all this misfortune, right? They just made the assumption based on her circumstance as an unmarried and a childless woman.
Yes, and that's our current understanding of it. I think one of the big issues too is that there is no actual physical documentation because of that fire that happened in 1831. So we've lost all like historical documentation of whether or not she was like was she like a healer? Did she work with herbs? We don't really know what her role was. We only know what's been passed down by word of mouth over generations. And it's like a game of telephone. Like it could be just about anything. And somehow this kind of legend turned into an inspiration for the fictional character of Ellie Kedward in the Blair Witch Project. And really, realistically, like the only, I guess, similarities that you can see is that they were targeted by their like New England town people, and they died of exposure in the woods.
Yeah.
But they still kind of advertise a lot that that Moll Dyer was the inspiration for this hit film. So, yeah, my sources will be in the show notes, but that is overall the legend of Moll Dyer, or the story of Moll Dyer, what we know of her.
Poor woman.
I know. That one wasn't like, I feel like yours was like a little more fun last week because we got to have some good discourse about like, wow, like, how different things were for women who practice witchcraft and like in Greece and all that stuff. And this was just kind of like, yeah, it doesn't seem like she really did anything wrong, but they burned her cabin down and let her die of exposure.
True.
Such
also,
a bummer.
what a horrible way to die.
I know.
Exposure?
Yeah, literally froze to death. And and I would like to also clarify, I mean no disrespect at all to Leonard Town by like reading about their Moll Dyer weekend. I think those activities sound fun as hell, for sure. Even if I'm a little confused about their relation to Moll Dyer.
Though you said it was related to maybe other
I think
myths from the town.
It seems like what they did, from my reading on it, was they declared February 26th to be Moll Dyer Day. And this was just in 2021, so just a few years ago that they did that. And that they've kind of expanded it to be about, like, here's a weekend where you can do, like, family activities and, like, fun activities and, like, learn about, like, local legends and stuff. So I do think that that's a really neat idea. And I definitely would not want to pass judgment on it without first attending it and seeing what it's all about, because it does sound kind of fun.
True.
Maybe that'll be a field trip. We can go to Leonard Town.
Leonard Town, Maryland.
In February. Oh, it'll be so cold. Maryland in February.
I love the winter.
I do too, though.
I love the winter.
I do too. I miss the winter. It sounds weird to be like, I miss the winter because we're in Florida and like we don't.
Oh no,
winter is not.
I do. Here. What we're sitting in for people who might not be from Florida, in Florida right now, it's about 95 degrees outside. It's absolutely boiling.
Yeah. And in Florida with humidity, it's technically 95 degrees. It feels like 105 at least. It's terrible.
Yeah. So I would not mind some cool weather,
I
to
would
be
not.
honest.
I was watching fall movies, like fall themed movies the other day, and like nostalgic, like Halloween type movies. Like I watched Hocus Pocus, and I was like looking at all like the beautiful golden like orange leaves, and I like almost started crying. I was like,
I know.
I miss the North so bad.
I'm a fall girly, baby.
Me
I
too.
love the changing leaves. I love a good Halloween.
Yes.
Because I'm an October baby, so.
That's right.
You know, my cousin was also born the day before Halloween.
Oh.
So we love the fall time in my family, so.
I love the fall too.
It's coming soon! I mean, listen, enjoy the summer, y'all. Hot girl summer, but fall girl summer's coming real fast.
Hot girl summer is a little too hot, especially when us hot girls in question have a lot of rolls and like under boob sweat.
Yeah, you could see that in our videos from Vero Beach.
Oh my
it's just
gosh.
us glistening. Me glistening while I'm listening to these wonderful stories, just wiping sweat left and right off my face because it is too hot to handle.
Oh, so I put deodorant in places where you would not anticipate deodorant being, girl. It's like you're never too prepared. Like
True. Well, thank you for this awesome story.
Thank you.
Man, you know, it's really not like the movie. I don't know. It's just more sad.
I know.
The movie was scary. This is just sad overall.
Yeah. I think it is definitely one of those like very loosely based type of things. Like when people say like this is based on a true story, and it's like, kind of, I guess. The concept, maybe. But yeah, the Blair Witch Project is a lot more fun than Moll Dyer's story because it's just really sad.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Moll.
R.I.P. Moll. Throw one up for Moll. Yeah. Pour one out for Moll. Well, thank you though.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Give us a like if you like what you heard. We're going to be doing some more recording here soon. I'm sure at this point we're probably still putting out some videos from Vero Beach because we had so many awesome people who participated. But definitely follow us, subscribe to the podcast if you want to hear more, and check us out on social media. And check out our website too. We're at lovewitchspells.com. We have a page dedicated to the podcast and also an online shop and blog and all kinds of cool stuff there. And I'm constantly adding new stuff. So thank you guys so much for listening.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
I'm That Witch is researched, written, and hosted by Maddy Guerra and Bridgette Golden. Edited by Bridgette Golden. You can find more episodes on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever you find your podcasts. You can also find us on social media on Instagram at LoveWitchSpells or TikTok at LoveWitchSpells13. Make sure to like and subscribe if you liked what you heard today and want to hear more. Thanks for listening.
I am the Blair Witch.